All right, it is 3 o'clock and we've got a great group here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So if you don't know me yet, I'm Jamie Oleka and I'm one of the senior fellows for the collaborative. And I'm going to be co-facilitating this with our new senior fellow for student basic needs, Ariane Jet Seals, which will get a moment to introduce herself and facilitate the panel that we have. But thank you all for joining for today's topic around supporting students over the summer with their basic needs. I'm just going to give a brief overview of what the collaborative is, and then we'll dig into our panel, have some small group discussion, which hopefully will be like a peer learning session time. We'll get back into whole group share outs and then wrap up with what's next. All right, so the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative, if you don't already know us and are familiar with us, we really work to bring people together to support one another, share new ideas, scale what's working, and inspire a culture of continuous improvement. So we do a ton of research here around best practices, keeping up with what's going on across the country or what's going on across the state, figuring out how we can support each other and making sure that we're doing the best that we can in supporting students through post-secondary success and completion. If you haven't yet seen it, we do have a very robust and comprehensive student basic needs report that the collaborative did. You can find that on our website, but just want to name here in particular objective 1 and 2 and how our student basic needs community of practice really falls into these particular priorities. So increasing access to basic needs supports for students and increasing access to post-secondary for individuals receiving state supports. All right, as you all know, our topic for today is centered around supporting student basic needs over the summer. As summer approaches, we wanted to make sure that we had discussion around this, as this is a timely and important concern that I know is on top of several folks' minds as they have reached out and expressed concern and wanted resources around this. So we are happy to facilitate this discussion, and I will hand it over to Ariane to introduce herself as well as our lovely panelists for today.
All right, now that I'm off of mute, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jamie. I am again Ariane Jet Seals, and I am the Senior Fellow for Basic Needs here with the Kentucky Student Success Collaborative. I'm very excited to be in this new role and working alongside Jamie and the rest of the team here. um, Being able to work on this community of practice and being able to gather some really great partners in basic needs. We've put together this panel, and we have Katie Adamchick, the Director of Student Success at the University of Louisville. We have Lamont Campbell, Regional Coordinator for Family Scholar House, and he is located at BCTC. And then we have Debbie Abner, the Associate Director of Student Life and First Year Experience with Eastern Kentucky University. So I thank you all for being here and willing to participate in the panel conversation. So, in getting our panel started, I'm going to get to my document here and get our questions. So, for our panel members, I've got a few questions here and would love for you all to be able to share your areas of expertise and insight. And we'll start with our first question. What are some of the common challenges you see on your campus in supporting students over the summer break?
I'll take that one. Lamont Family Resource. I said Family Resource. Family Scholar House. The one thing we're here to do is provide resources, and so on campus, summertime is the big time for our students, especially the ones that aren't enrolling in summer classes. They are living life for that summer, and the one thing that we know, they want to come back in the fall, but life is going to happen in the summer. Things are going to happen, whether it's childcare, whether it's food, whether it's housing. And so the summer months are pretty busy for us, for me, myself, because that downtime that they have where they're not focusing on school, they're now trying to put that attention to their own life. They're trying to put that attention to their own family and get things back in order so they don't have the same hurdles that they had the past semester. And so summer's super unique. It's actually the time where I get to meet a lot of our students most because that's when they do take the time to find the resources. During the school year, they're going through so much with classes. They're just, look, can you help me or not? That's their bottom line during the school year. But the summertime is their break where they can really sit down and say, hey, Mr. Lamont, what is it? Can you help me with? How can I use it? And where can I find it? So we have a little more time to do that in the summer, for especially the ones not enrolled. And it's the same for the ones enrolled. They take a little bit more time because that summer semester isn't as stressful as spring and fall. Teachers are a little more relaxed in the summer. So summer's huge.
Thanks, Lamont. At U of L, we have a lot of students around for summer and obviously a lot of students that are gone. Most of our services are operating just about at full capacity. A couple things require summer enrollment to receive services, including our counseling center and our emergency grants through Student Affairs. But many of our services are available for students through the summer. So, and actually a lot of it is the perception that we're not here during the summer, right? So we have like the communication challenges that come with that. Students always wish us to have a great break, enjoy summer. We're like, we're here, don't forget. Do you remember when you came in through as a freshman? We were working really hard that summer. And so a lot of it's communicating that way. We in the Student Success Center do a ton of outreach and work with partners around outreach to students who are not enrolled for fall yet, and doing a lot of what are your challenges? How do we help you? A lot of times it's a financial piece. Even if they don't have a bill here, then they're not sure how they're going to pay for fall, they'll wait to enroll. And so the financial coaching and counseling there. But when it comes to sort of those day-to-day needs, of course, there's not, we operate as a traditional, 4-year college campus with a lot of free food a lot of times. And that's not accessible. We do have our Cardinal cupboard, but, students aren't able to kind of backfill with some of those services. And so even just getting them to come, the Cardinal cupboard with, has limited hours, but still available, is a big piece. So some of it is overcoming those perceptions. And then of course, our students who aren't here locally, seeing how they're navigating things within their own community can definitely be a challenge. And, our student advocate and our Dean of Students Office, our student success coordinators here in the Student Success Center tend to continue doing that case management with students through the summer. The students who have been utilizing services, they're still working with them to try to connect with their own communities if they're not here. They are here and experiencing housing insecurity. That can be a continued challenge as well, just because we don't have a lot of capacity for emergency housing. And so what are the resources in the community, so in some ways it has unique challenges, but in other ways it's the same challenges in terms of what's available and the capacity and how to get students to take advantage of it. And remember that it's for them too. Like, a lot of our students want to make sure that other students can access the services. But I walked past the Cardinal cupboard this week and I was really pleased to see tons of fresh produce, right? And I was like, that's huge. And I hope our students are taking advantage of it because, especially when it's fresh, somebody's got to eat it, it might as well be you. And a lot of times students want to reserve it for students who are in greater need. And so making sure students are feeling comfortable to take advantage of the resources is important.
Thank you for that. Debbie, did you have something that you wanted to add on there? Wanted to make sure I gave you time.
Thank you. I was going to say I agree that the biggest challenges are kind of an amplified version of the challenges that we face throughout the fall and spring. It's that communication piece, making sure that everyone actually knows we're still here. So as part of my role, I am over our Colonel's cupboard and closet. And so we're able to do a lot of things over the summer. We have big collaboration with the housing department. So we actually send bags and boxes of food that we send to the residence halls so that RAs can then kind of distribute those as they need if they're on duty. Or we can access them during the normal 8 to 4:30 because we are here, kind of like Katie was saying, we're here at the normal time. They don't quite get that, but we're here. We also allow them to kind of know like, hey, you can come yourself and shop, right? If you'd like to, and if you have time for that. But if you don't, and this does include our commuter students too, they can always access things after hours through our housing. And we make sure that we replenish those with both fresh and dry goods throughout the summer. We also have, I have an AmeriCorps Vista. And so they are on an on-call rotation essentially on Fridays and Saturdays. Sundays they get off, but Fridays and Saturdays, so that if a student does have need or if housing is not able to accommodate a certain need, they can come in and make sure that that student does have food and access to food or clothing. Yeah, I think that answers the question, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Yes, thank you. And I have to say, we have a great panel because we've gone into the second question, and you all have already started giving some of the supports that you provide in those solving some of the problems, those gaps in services that you've noticed. So you've already gone into that. So I'm going to go into this. What are some of the effective communication strategies in communicating with our students as they're related to basic needs supports over the summer? Because I've heard communication come up a few times already in this few minutes. So what do those strategies look like?
Kelly, you want to go first? You, me, or me?
You go first.
Okay.
Let's go the same order.
Oh, okay. Well, we can keep it the same order. That's fine. That's fine. Communications, it's different in the summer because we don't have as much activity on campus. In a normal situation, fall and spring semesters, I'm walking campus. People see me. I'm in there in workshops and things like that. Well, summer, campus is a little drier than normal. And so we've tried to become creative. Our pantry is still unused. And now what we've done here that's kind of been unique is when we're giving out the water bottles in the pantry. We give out Family Scholar House water bottles along with every pantry pickup. So when they pick up any type of pantry order, whether it's diapers, whether it's food, they're also going to get a water bottle. Inside that water bottle is a business card. Inside of that is also another card. So it's almost force feeding them to say, hey, there's still services here for you in the summer. We're still doing the call campaigns. Family Scholar House will do those for any of your schools if you need that. We're still doing those regularly in the summer. So the summer is the time where I try to get ahead of it and try to force feed our students to say, hey, there are resources for you. There is someone on campus to help. And we try to do that is every orientation we're there, whether it's traditional orientation, whether it's a virtual orientation. So this is the time that I try to use for our campus at BCTC to kind of force feed that, hey, to all of our students, you have something on campus to help you with resources.
We are a bit less strategic than I want to admit with our summer communications, especially, or just our communications in general. I mean, communications around our basic needs support is one of our priority areas on campus. Jerry Morgan is also on the call. She and I partner in this work, and we're in two different divisions, right? And so there's often a lot of the conversation of who, what, where, how's it going to land? We're going through a major web overhaul, and we know we want to improve our web interface in this area, but we're in a space where we're not supposed to add anything right now until we transition. But one of the areas that we do in the Student Success Center have access to is a text bot that we can text students directly. And we do Louie the text bot is pretty cheeky, and the students seem to love Louie. We get really, really high engagement. So we do a lot of interactive check-ins with them. And like a third of the students will participate, which according to our provider is really high. And so they definitely like Louie. And so Louie does remind them at kind of celebratory points in the summer, whether it's, around a holiday, like Juneteenth coming up in June or whatnot, like, hey, did you know we're still here? And these are the services, that you can be accessing. And so that's one area that the students see, because they don't, that we all know, like, email can be a challenge during the year, but it's even more of a challenge during the summer. Our student news goes out still weekly, and they get lots of reminders. So if they're engaged with their email, they'll see it that way. But how do we reach those students who aren't you know, interacting with the university in a regular space during the summer, our text bot is probably our best source to leverage, other than just our outreach that's going on. Our outreach through EAB Navigate can do texting. Our outreach will also pick up the phone and do calls and see if students will answer the phone and check in, as well as, you know, emails to personal accounts to check in, but not near as strategic of a campaign yet as we hope to have.
So I do agree. I wish we were also doing more here at EKU. I also have to say, Lamont, I love those ideas. I love the water bottle. I like the putting the business card in there, because I do think that high visibility is the best way to do it. We give them out all year round, but I have noticed that we have more people mention them kind of when we're on breaks. We give out magnets. They're like a really thin little magnet they can stick on their mini fridge. And it just says, it's our logo, who we are, and our phone number and the email address that connects directly to the cupboard. So those get more traffic. I will say the majority of people that we get are going to be people that get kind of referred to us, either from other people on campus or from RAs, you know, student staff members over the summer, maybe even their peers. Kind of letting us know, like, hey, this person is in need, or hey, I wanted to reach out to you and say, you know, this person needs some clothes, or this kind of situation happened and they need some assistance. We don't have anything that we send out in the summer outside of, you know, university communication that I would say specifically for the cupboard or the closet. But it is, I don't know. I mean, I'm noticing now that Dr. Vance is also on the call. She works at EKU too. I don't know if you have the magnet on you, but I feel like everyone, yeah, see, I looked around my office too. I feel like we all have 50 of them and students love them. But other than that, I do wish we did more.
Thank you for that. I think that is a lot of, you know, why we're here and why we're having this conversation, right? Communication comes up all the time, but specifically, what does that look like over the break? So I am enjoying being able to hear this, and hopefully some of the others who are like, we're still trying to figure that out too, can take back some good information. Let's talk about specific resources and events that happen over the summer to address basic needs supports. Are there events or resources that you think just really go over really well for the students on your campuses? And what does that look like?
Food insecurity is huge, not only just on our campus, it's big here in Lexington. And so whenever we can have something where I can be in front and again, communication coming into play there, where I can let students know, and they're coming to all of our on-campus events, whether it's a Juneteenth celebration or whatever on-campus event they're having. A lot of times students only come to those events because there's food provided there, right? A lot of the times in the summer, students only come back to campus because this may be where they can get that one-off meal. And so I'm here every day. I'm at all of those events, and I'm able to be there in front of them to say, you know, if this was your one-off, let's meet another day and let's get you squared away on getting food on a regular for you. Let's work on something beyond that. So the summer events are huge for all of our students, but they're more huge for myself to be here so that they can see that someone's still here for them in the summer. Again, something is still available. Oftentimes, like we said in the beginning, they forget about everything that happens on campus because it's summer. No one's there for me. No one's going to be there to help. So I take the chance to use all of our own campus. The solar eclipse, I went to actually K-State for Kentucky State solar eclipse event just to be there to let their students know. Same thing. So we do that, the same thing here. I'm at every event so the students know we're still sending out a message to everyone. We're still plugging that we're here to help everyone.
Event-wise, our attention on campus really does transition to the incoming students. We do 14 in-person orientations, so it's like where my head is right now because it starts in just a couple weeks. And so I'm like, oh, I mean, we obviously start promoting our supports then to the incoming students. But it definitely is not in the traditional engagement events. There's just not as much happening at U of L here. It's more the well, going back to communication, it's the weekly new student news email that students get, right? It's promoting those services and doing supports and outreach to students and responding as they reach out for sure. One piece I did nudge Jerry. I was like, can you think of any events? What are we doing? And she mentioned, like, we do take the opportunity during summer, right, to train each other a lot and get each other referring and build out that space. And so, I think about even just a couple summers ago, I went to several like all faculty or all chairs of the departments or different types of faculty meetings and asked to talk about our services. And one of the examples I would provide too is a basic needs statement for a syllabus as a way to support student success. And I think that's a really big piece of it, right? Because then we're going to get those referrals. And then we also create a culture of help seeking behavior and encouragement and help faculty understand that these are real issues of so many of their students today. And so that's a big part of it, is just working together on campus too, to make sure that we're aware of what's being offered right now and maybe new opportunities and that are coming this fall for our students.
So yes, orientation is a massive one. I try to make sure I am as annoying as possible at orientation as I can be. And by that I mean the more and more they can see our logo, what we look like, and actually come to the cupboard itself, then they'll realize it's not as scary as it sounds. I think also kind of having the opportunity to actually get in front of students, especially first year students, and say, hey, the word cupboard does not automatically mean you need to qualify. It doesn't mean you need to actually have any sort of proof or anything like that. This service is for every single person on this campus. And so I want to see you in here, right? I want to see you in between classes. I want you to feel comfortable to come up here and just grab something as if this was your house, right? And then we try to make sure that we're available as possible for those housing events that happen, because student staff do have to do things in housing for their summer students. So we make sure that we also tell them, like, hey, we are closer than the Walmart. We don't require you to spend any gas to get to us, right? You just need to walk or kind of join us over here in the building in the center of campus. So I will say we spend a lot of time on that. And I think this summer my Vista and I, we're really excited that we're going to be spending some time working on getting a version of the cupboard open on one of our satellite campuses, which should also really help. Because that's kind of a big undertaking, I think, trying to open up another service. Because right now those individuals can put in a form with us here on the Richmond campus, but that's only whenever our courier is running, right? So being able to extend our access that way, although not a formalized event, right? I'm sure we will have some sort of event to make sure that we're getting our face out there for those students this summer. But as of right now, I think it's just kind of creating opportunities that we can have those events and that we have a purpose for those events that we want to host ourselves outside of just kind of attending other people's.
Awesome. Thank you all. All of that information sounds really good. So we heard some food events. We think about that across the board, even, in K through 12, we look at some of those food events being the only opportunity for, families to access food. So hearing those and how we can connect to our communities in that way just continues across these conversations. So we've had a question to come up in the chat, and the resource is going to be provided. It was asking for those campuses with basic needs statements in their syllabi. Would you be willing to forward those to the group? And it looks like, thank you, Dr. Adamczyk is going to do that. Send it to us so that can get out to you guys. But I also want to open the floor for a few minutes. If there are any questions for the panelists, we'd like to invite those questions at this time.
I do want to let you all know. I know I've gotten to speak at a couple different panel groups in the Student Success Collaborative. We now have Family Scholar House at the first 4-year institute. We have one at Kentucky State University now. So it works. Again, it's for everyone. It works for the employees. It works for our students. It's all about helping everyone's journey in any type of way. So. And Barb, I saw your question. Hello, Barb. I miss Barb. Barb's awesome.
Hey, Lamont, good to see you.
So I have a question. This is Kelly Sore. I'm one of the managers for the connectors on our campuses for the East Side. So Lamont, I've heard a lot about you. I've been trying to work with you. Jacqueline's been trying to get us together, but I know that you support a lot of the things that go on her campus. And I've also met your counterpart on the Elizabethtown campus.
Yes, Miss Lynette. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So she was telling me that all of the campuses should have some type of access. When I say campuses, the KCTCS campuses should have access to the Family Scholar House program. And what we're finding is some do and some don't. So what is the final call on that? Does everyone have that, or at least?
So everyone has access, and what we found out at Family Scholar is some want it and some don't. Some right now are kind of pump the brakes and saying, "Hey, we're going to try to figure things out on our own." The beauty of Family Scholar is they're always going to give you data. So if you're wanting to know if it works, if you're wanting to know if it'll be beneficial to your campus, you can always ask for that. But yes, it is available to all 16 campuses. There's only 2 in the KCTCS that have us actually physically on campus. We still assist in some of the other ones. We do help all 16 with call campaigns, though. But to physically get a person, yes, we would love to be on every campus. I'm always with Miss Jacqueline. I try to take her to everything that I can if I can get her. I know she's got a busy schedule herself. Any event that I'm having, her table is almost directly next to me. I want the connector next to me. If a student stops to talk to me about food, then we probably need to talk about insurance. We may need to talk about SNAP benefits. We may need to talk about that. I don't want them to think that I'm their sole answer. It's a team effort. It takes a village, and I'll use our connectors. I'll use our counseling. I'm always referring people to our counselors. And so it's a team. It's just that I'm the loud, bright one in front. I don't worry.
So I've heard. So if we have some campuses that maybe don't have that connection per se, would they reach out to you about anything?
Yes, you can have them reach out to me directly, and I can plug all of that. Whether it's our 2-year institutions at KCTCS or our 4 years, we can get an MOU started for our 4-year institutions and getting someone on those campuses as well. We want to help any way we can across the state. We're going to help across the country. We're going to do some things in Houston. We're going to do some things in Charleston, South Carolina. Any which way Family Scholar can help. We're here for the educational journey.
Can you share your contact information, Lamont, in the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Thank you. I also see hand raised. Dr. Robertson, you have a question?
Dr. Robertson, did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ariane, and welcome aboard. It's a pleasure to have you in this space with us now. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the panelists. My question is in regard to the TRIO programs that are housed on the KCTCS and 4-year university campuses. So the first question I have, back in January, the Office of Career and Technical Adult Education released Program Memorandum 24-3, which will now allow AFLA to utilize, hold on one minute, funds to pay for child and dependent care and transportation costs. And I just wanted to ask the panelists, what are you all doing to support this initiative for those individuals that remain on campus during the summer, and what supportive services do you currently have in place for child and dependent care and transportation?
We do have a TRIO student support services program at U of L. I am not familiar with their target population is 140 students, and I'm not familiar with those provisions, like what they're able to do or doing this summer that would be different from previous summers. So I will see if Jerry knows anything, because they are in the same division, at least. But outside of that, I will say that, and this was one of the pieces I was supposed to throw in and haven't yet, is that while we have emergency grants through Student Affairs at U of L, we also have persistence grants through the Student Success Center. And we're able to award those grants to students without like an enrollment requirement, because of the fact that we're trying to help them persist in their education. And so we are trying to get them to be retained at U of L, right? So if there are childcare, transportation, other basic needs over the summer, and they need stabilizing of their, like for instance, we just did a grant, for a student facing eviction. She's not enrolled right now, but we need her to be able to return, right? And so we look at those cases and think of, like, work with the student to see what they need right now in order to be able to be here. Or a lot of U of L has a lot of students, right, that swirl between Jefferson and Community and Technical College and U of L, right? So maybe the student needs to go to Jefferson and save some money and then come back, or those kinds of things. So our coordinators, the student success coordinators, focus on those students, like kind of in a case management piece, right? What is the longer term plan? Obviously, our goal at U of L, these are institutional funds, is for them to enroll here in the fall, but maybe taking a break from U of L and then planning to come back in the spring or even the following fall would make the most sense. So we do provide funding and support for those types of challenges that come up. But I don't know anything about what TRIO is currently able to do or doing this summer, and it looks like Jerry does not either, so I apologize. But if you want, I can connect you with our director, Ashaya, and you all could connect on that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Yes, ma'am, I would appreciate that. We have 26 local adult education providers across the Commonwealth, and we do work closely with the community college system and the 9 universities across the state to refer our students once they have completed their GED or participated in an integrated education and training program that allows them to successfully enroll in one of the high 5 industry sectors across the state in support of manufacturing, healthcare, and so forth. So I think it would be great for us to have that resource available to our adult learners and our adult education providers, so that when we are referring those students during the summer, where we provide our services 365 days a year, we are able to close that gap, but most importantly, support those needs and provide that ongoing support for that student to continue their transitional support past adult education services. So thank you so much for that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Dr. Robinson, in continuation to kind of answer that, at the KCTCS level, we at Family Scholar are working on, I'm tipping my hat a little bit, we are working on getting Sprinter vans for the campuses. That's going to allow us not only to deliver with our pantries, that's going to allow us to pick up students if needed. It's going to give us freedoms to do a bunch of different things at the KCTCS level at those schools. So that's, I'm tipping my hat a little bit, but it's okay. That's a good thing. So.
That sounds very exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Wanted to make sure if we had any more questions before we get into our breakout sessions where we can have some more discussion. Okay. I think Jamie is going to be able to help get us into our breakout sessions.
All right, we've got a large group here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the questions in the chat box. And before you go into your breakout room, if you could help me out by just copying these questions so that once you get into your breakout room, you all can have it so that I don't have to pop into each of the rooms. I'll leave those here for you all. And we will go ahead and open up the breakout rooms. We'll take about 10 to 15 minutes in here and then come back and share whole groups. So please be ready to share when we come back.
I think I disconnected. Jamie, if you're still there, I was in room 5 and it's almost like it kicked me out.
April, are you there?
Lock this door and you go, well, no, you'll take care of it.
I'll take care of it. Thank you. I'm here. It kicked me out for some reason.
So if you go down to the bottom of the Zoom screen where it says more, it has that ellipsis, or right beside that, it says join breakout room.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Hmm.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.
No, it's not over. It's not little through anything. Oh, with that on? Hard. Your door. Hey, Brody. Hey, open and shut your door. Shut your door. No. Do it again. Yeah, shut it harder. There you go.
I was in the middle of talking in my group and then I hit the button and now I'm back in the main session.
I don't know if you can go back to your
Oh,
group.
no.
You know, they're probably still waiting for me to finish.
I think it's just about over with anyways.
They're
That's
like,
okay.
wait. Very loud.
I'll put it in the chat.
All right, it looks like we are all here now. Let's go ahead and open up to the whole group and would like to hear some highlights about what you all spoke about, anything that you learned from your conversation in small group. I'm gonna volunteer my group, the folks there. Dr. Vance, Anita, Sarah was giving great commentary about her experience as a student at EKU. So I'm gonna start it off with my group.
If it's okay, I'd love to chime in.
Absolutely.
Miss Sarah, and I am a current doctorate student in the occupational therapy program, and I worked for Dr. Laura Vance for many years as a student worker. And then once she moved on up to the Dean of Students, I also worked as the student success learner as the graduate assistant. And now I'm doing my capstone there. So I'm doing research on the mentor program we have there. So I'm really invested in the student life. And I love what everyone's talking about and doing with breaking down the barriers and removing the stigma around use for students in the summertime and all the time. Because I've been that student that needed these resources and was afraid to access them because of a stigma. And so it's really helpful to have people like you all that are really dedicated to students like myself, that you give us the motivation to take advocacy and maybe eventually be in your role to provide those same resources. So I just wanted to say I'm very appreciative. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Sarah, for kicking us off. All right, who's next?
Yeah, this is Anita. Some of the stuff that we talked about, Jamie, that on top of what Sarah was just talking about, we talked about one of the things Lamont told a lot about what we do here at BCTC, and kind of how we get stuff out. But we also have, like, on all 7 of our campuses, I've put a counseling pop-up banner. They all look the same. All of my rec cards look exactly like that. So we're trying to layer things. And on all of those, they have a QR code so that they can do things on their own if they want to. So that really helps to create an accessibility that they don't even have to talk to us necessarily until they reach out and say, I want you to reach out to me. So that kind of helps a lot. So I'll stop there. We do a lot of stuff here, but Lamont said a lot, so I won't repeat it all.
No, Miss Anita was talking about our QR codes. E-Town, Justin, their president, actually stole one of our mines because I was telling him about how we put the QR codes on the bathroom mirrors. And so all of our bathrooms on all of our campuses allow our students to go in and scan it, and they can see MyKY, or they can get any type of information they need themselves. And so I had told Justin at E-Town, and I left my binder open, and he stole my stickers. So I'm all out of stickers. I can't present them, but I'm gonna get Justin Pate back. I know how to find him. So he took my stickers.
I've stolen plenty of ideas from Lamont, but I've never stolen stickers. So I'm just going to put that in my back pocket for now. And the next time I see him, I'm going to see what he leaves open on a table for me to steal.
Laura, I will definitely bring you some stickers. I got you.
That's awesome. I love it. We also, I talked about one of our struggles on campus. I'm Laura Vance from Eastern Kentucky University. Proud former supervisor of Sarah Roberts. So last in our group, I talked about our struggle during summer because we don't have meal plans on campus, and a lot of our food insecure students rely heavily on meal plans. I have students that could opt out of meal plans but continue to opt into the meal plans during the year because it's easier for them than going grocery shopping. But we have a connector with Kentucky River Foothills that's offered to help our students get SNAP benefits, and our card office has formed a letter that explains the meal plan dates for SNAP benefit applications. And so we really appreciate that help. And then I've reached out to a lot of different units, colleges, divisions on campus for a weekly family meal in our residence hall that will house a lot of our food and housing insecure students this summer. So the colleges, for example, our first next Monday, our Dean of Libraries is our first host. And so a restaurant will come in and cater. We'll have students pre-register for the meals so that we have a good count. We're going to have Brady's, which is a local sushi place. They're not serving sushi because I think that could be a bad idea. Leftover sushi, I don't know, but they're doing like some of their setup bowls and things, but the library is paying for it. I'm doing the logistics. And then that evening, the Dean of Libraries and some of the library staff will be there to meet and chat with the students so that they get some company through the week, because summer can be really quiet and isolating too. And so each week we're planning one hot meal sponsored by different areas with neat little mixers and stuff. I am fully realizing that this was an insane idea, but I'm now committed to it. And so the logistics has been a lot of fun. But I'm learning as I go. Hopefully by the end of summer, I'll be an old hand at this, and then I can pass along really good information to you all. But different offices are all in. I even had a couple just say, hey, can we sponsor a week? And so everybody seems to really be on board with this and wanting to help our students that may not have a place to go this summer.
Did anyone from my group want to jump in?
Thanks, Dr. Vance.
Well, I'll go ahead and say, Jamie, for group 4, there was a good conversation about resources, and as they related to housing concerns, there was a realization that might look different for students over the summer, and how connectors could work with those students to help them with the transition period. I know that it was brought up, Jerry is at U of L, and discussed, there's also, a lapse in time. Students may come to campus early, students may be transitioning from living on campus to an apartment, so having some type of resources in place to help students to not go without housing during that period of time was discussed. Sean came in with information. Now he's been researching some statewide programs to support housing and making sure that students have emergency funding to stay connected to housing, and then talked about the supports for IDing those students that were more likely to need the support. And it was said that those student need surveys have been really, really helpful, and they would like to be able to see some more of those surveys and even the data that is being pulled on some of those surveys, because that's been the place that they are really depending on to get some of that information.
Thanks, Ariel. I I'm going to share some next steps in the chat box. I'm having some connection issues and my PowerPoint is a little bit blurry. So I'm going to put it in the chat box, and Ariane, if you want to speak a little bit more about these summer work groups before we hop off here.
Yes, so we are looking at being able to utilize some of you all's time a little bit differently over the summer, realizing that it's even been mentioned maybe 3 times that during the summer at a time when folks are doing PD, that they're trying to train each other on resource and information that is out there. And so we're hoping that some of you all that are looking for those types of opportunities would be participating in some summer work groups. We have 2 different work groups that we're going to host. That is for housing and food insecurity. And so we're looking at having these work groups to go over the summer and then return into our regular convenings once school starts back. But we're hoping that you all would like to pick one of those work groups and we would see each other and work together on some programs there.
All right. With that being said, thank you all so much for attending. A special shout out to our panelists for providing a lot of great insight and wisdom and what's happening to support students over the summer for student basic needs. We'll follow up in email with all the resources. And again, thanks for taking time to join us today.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.